Good evening, everybody. We'll get our evening started with a prayer in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So welcome, everybody. We have just a few short days, a little bit less than a month now, to prepare for our pilgrimage to Italy. And first I want to start by, perfect. I just got a message that we're live and that I can be seen here rather than having to stand behind the ambo. If you can't hear me in the back, turn up your hearing aids. I know they can hear me in the back now. So what's the difference between like a tour and a pilgrimage? We'll be doing a little bit of both, really, but a pilgrimage is a spiritual journey to a holy site. And so some of the things that we can do in preparation for the pilgrimage is think of special prayer intentions that you want to take along the way, because we'll be at many holy sites. You can even write them down on a little note. Sometimes there's a little offering box or something that you can put them in. Look ahead if you have a favorite saint and maybe want to know if they have a special place somewhere like relics or something on our journey. You can email me ahead of time, or you can also Google things online, but that way you can be prepared. For example, over in the neighborhood of Trastevere is the foot of St. Teresa of Avila. So if somebody, now could I get you there? Yes, by Google Maps, right? And is the church going to be open? Well, we'll have to look it up. But there are saints and relics everywhere in Italy. Unlike, here we travel all the way to Wichita to see Venerable Father Emil Capon. And the first saint ever canonized in the U.S. was Saint Elizabeth Ann Seton in Maryland. So it's a radically different experience when we go to Italy. But also things you can do to sacramentally prepare yourself before you leave is to, go make use of the sacrament of confession. At least once before you go. Pray for the people and the pilgrims on the trip. Bring your own intentions. Take some time away from the group at different times to pray. Now, the challenge with that is our tour leaders are going to be organizing 73 of us to be on time in certain spots. And so when we arrive at the buses in the morning, we need to be on time for the sake of everybody else. And also for the sake of the tour leaders, because it can interrupt things like meeting our local guides or being there if we have a scheduled lunch to be there on time and all of those things. But there also will be times for personal reflection and prayer. We'll have Mass every day in some of the most beautiful churches in the world. I don't know yet, and I'll explain why I don't know things yet in just a bit. But I don't know yet exactly all of the locations where we will be able to celebrate Mass, but I'm for certain that we'll get Mass at St. Peter's. We'll probably have Mass at St. Mary Major one day, at the tomb of St. Francis of Assisi, in Assisi on one of the first days that we're there. And I don't know if we'll be at the church, having Mass at the church where St. Catherine used to attend daily Mass in Siena or not, but most likely we will have Mass there, because that's normally where pilgrims go for Mass, because it's the largest church. So, what are our specific plans and our specific itinerary, I kid you not, if you were to go to Italy right now, only about 40 to 50% of the country would be working, because they would be working in a hotel or at a beach somewhere. Pretty much the whole country takes off for what they call Ferragosto, which is the month of August. It's like a vacation. So our travel agent called me Thursday and said, "Father, don't worry." Now she's thinking in Italian. She's Italian-American or American-Italian. She grew up half in Detroit and half in Rome, and now lives in Rome permanently, and has for many years. So what she was saying in her mind was "a domani," which means sometime. But in English it really means, tomorrow. So she told me that she would have our detailed itinerary and our flight plan to me by Thursday or Friday. But she also told me in July it would be here by August, like the 5th, that she was booking everybody. And then she asked me to tie up one more loose end detail for her on that phone conversation. I did get one detail though, because I listened in Italians talk like I'm talking now with my hands and not being quiet. She was talking on and on, so I know we're flying United. And I know we're leaving from Kansas City. And I know we'll land in Rome. I think that we'll be flying directly from a U.S. city, so that would also narrow down. Most likely we'll fly through Chicago. And I think we have a flight that would leave from Kansas City around noon-ish. So if somebody really wants to go out and try to figure that out, more power to you. But that's all I know. And with that detailed itinerary also comes all of the schedule. As pilgrims, you won't have the detailed itinerary because sometimes due to logistical challenges, things change a little bit. And they want people to listen to the tour leader and read what's on the daily sign at the hotel, because that will tell you. So if you got the pre-planned one that I'll get and it changes, somebody's going to say, "You're not supposed to do that, you're supposed to." And then half the group's going to be off somewhere and not somewhere else. Tonight is really about some of the technical things that you're going to want to know before you go. So please feel free to ask questions if I don't answer your questions in the next 30 minutes or so. Okay, one of the most important things is, how do we get cash, right? While we're over there, how do we get cash? I just found out, because I looked it up, not because I was going to buy them to use, but I was going to buy them for the tips and to exchange a little bit. They don't do traveler's checks anywhere anymore. Like American Express traveler's checks, when I first started to travel, everybody got them except for me. This is what I use. I have 2 different debit cards, and I have already, on this one, I go to my computer, I type in my dates and the places where I'm traveling, goes right through, never an interruption. Make sure you check your PIN if you have 2 and one of them you don't use all the time. Make sure you check your PIN number before you leave. It'll be the same. This one, I had to go to the bank and they had to email for me. So every card is different, but make sure they work before you leave. And then obviously make sure you've got cash in them as well. But while you're over there, then use the ATM as your main method of exchanging. Be aware that, so I've been traveling to and from Italy since 2003 over the course of 23 years. Over about the last 5 years or so, those ATMs that we have now, like the one outside of the nail salon or whatever at the mall. They're not like real ATMs. They charge you fees, and that's how they make their money. They also have those in Italy. So make sure to get a good rate that you're going to something that is a bank ATM. And we'll have our tour leaders point some of those out to you. In Assisi, it'll be a little bit easier than in Rome because Assisi is a much smaller town. Then the banks themselves, so I had to do a little research. So don't take this with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert, and I was so confused the last couple times I've been about this that I don't know what's right or wrong, but I think this is what's right. They're going to offer you to let your bank receive the transaction as if you withdrew euro. And then the local bank back here, like GN Bank or Arvest, they're going to do the conversion to euro for you. There will be an other option that you're withdrawing like in simulated dollars or something. It'll be like in your own currency normally at the bottom. Always use the euro. Like you want it to go from their bank in euro to your bank, because if you do the other one, I've heard there's a layered fee. Like both banks get a fee for that conversion. So just be aware of that as well. Other than that, they typically charge like a $1 to $3 or $5 fee, just like they do here when you withdraw money from an ATM. But you get the best rate, you get that daily rate, when you do that. You can also that way withdraw in smaller increments, so that you don't have a lot of cash and then something happens. And because we're traveling, so Assisi, the upper town is the size of Weir. Weir, when I grew up, it was 800. Somebody told me the other day it's down to like 200 now. So we'll say it's like the size of Arma. But they get, in Assisi, they get 8 million. Is it 8 million? Rome is 20 million. Florence is 12. I think they get like 8 million pilgrims a year. It's like the fourth highest city in Europe. The lower town is the size of Pittsburgh. It's called Santa Maria degli Angeli. And we're going to be staying in the lower town in a hotel. But even there, because there will be less likelihood that there's like a pickpocket or maybe somebody corrupt at the hotel. And I'll tell a story about that in a bit. But things happen. So don't trust leaving your valuables out in your room. They have safes in the room normally. Sometimes in Assisi, maybe not, because it's an older, we're staying in a more modern neighborhood in Rome. In Assisi, it's an older town that doesn't really have a more modern section. They have like one or two hotels that would be like a more modern hotel. So they may or may not have a safe, but put valuables in your safe. I take my Apple laptop with me, my MacBook Air. I put it in the safe during the day. I put all my cash in the safe during the day. So use the safe at the hotels. There will definitely be one in Rome. Somebody asked earlier if there would be air conditioning at our hotels. We always book 4-star hotels. I'm 100% sure that there is in Rome because I selected the hotel because I like a certain hotel there. It's near the Vatican, but it's also near the old city. So at night we can wander into the old part of the city and get a gelato and just enjoy a stroll. You can also take off and go towards St. Peter's. There's just less to do except to go see St. Peter's. And actually, if you go into the old city by this bridge at night, you can see St. Peter's lit up over the Tiber River. So kill two birds with one stone. But in that hotel, there will be air conditioning. That hotel, like my first or second pilgrimage Bishop Jacobs was taking over there was a woman who had a sizable wedding ring. I think this would be back in like 2005. It was worth $25,000 then. And the hotel helpers had a little ruse, and they played like their air conditioning needed work. Somebody had called down to the front desk. They let themselves in, and the lady had taken off her wedding ring to like wash her hands or something like that, and they took it. So this is coming from a Catholic priest. There may be people here who have never taken off their wedding ring since the day of their wedding. I actually suggest with those things, leave it at home. Or if you have a band and just want to wear the band, do that. Don't wear fancy earrings and all of those types of things. It won't make you a target of violence. It just makes you it can make you a target of theft. ever since that happened, I've been suggesting for people to think about it. Also, just be aware that if you get a phone call like that, make sure that everything that you have, stay in your room, make sure that everything you have is safeguarded in some way. Because the cleaning help have probably already scoped you out. Or the lady at the front desk, you went down to ask some information or to get a map, and she saw you with that ring and remembered, oh yeah, that's the person in 504. It happens. Now in a CC, back to air conditioning, I'm 90% sure we'll have it there, but there is a slight possibility we won't. Somebody asked me what weather will be like and what to wear while you're over there. September could be like September here, but not as humid, especially in a CC. But in Rome, we're at sea level and right by the sea, so you can get some more humidity, but it should be cooling off by that time. I would say it's going to be in the 70s and 80s. Somebody asked me, basically you can wear anything you wish except for shorts. There's even the tour day, like when we would go to the Colosseum, where there's a possibility. We're still in other churches. And so, ladies, you can wear very lightweight pants just so they go down close to your ankles. I don't know what they call them when they go just halfway down the shin, past the knee. I wouldn't. Capris. Well, as long as they go down almost, like I'd say this far from your ankle, you'll be fine. And you could probably even get away with, more than that. The place, this is the unfortunate thing, the place where you could get caught up more than anything is when we go into the Vatican Museum, they probably won't stop you, but from the Vatican Museum, we go through a back exit down into St. Peter's to avoid the line. And in St. Peter's, they might say something. Also on the way into the papal audience that Wednesday before we come back. They'll say nothing when you go to the Angelus on Sunday because we're all out in the square. But if you're going into St. Peter's, it gets a little strict. But sleeves just over the shoulder, pants down to the ankle kind of thing. Jeans are fine. You can wear very casual clothes. There's not a reason to dress to the nines while we're over there at all. The local restaurants will be used to tourists, especially American tourists. Wear very comfortable shoes because we can take up to 15,000 steps a day, on average probably, while we're over there. There are a few people, if you have walking challenges, I want you to take a look at 2 days, and I'm going to make accommodations for that. The first day is Siena, and everybody signed up for Siena. Don't stay back in a CC because Father Mike said Siena can be a challenge. The only real challenge in Siena that we'll face is getting to the cathedral. And it's a beautiful church, don't get me wrong. But if you have a walking challenge or prone to get blisters or something like that, I'm going to hang back because I've been to the cathedral many times in what's called the Campidoglio. And when we tour Assisi, we're going to tour it first kind of laterally, and we're going to kind of go down. But then Assisi is just one hill after another. And you go down a pretty significant hill to go back up that hill and then even higher to get to the cathedral. So if you just have to go to the cathedral and you can't walk and don't want to drink wine and eat cookies with me at the Campidoglio, we'll see if the tour leader can find a taxi both on the way up and on the way back. On the way back is just about as bad, I think, on the knees as on the way up is on the heart. So that's one day where you may want to consider sticking back with me. And then there's another day where we go to Mary Major in the morning and John Lateran in the afternoon. And from Mary Major, we go to a church where there's a Michelangelo piece. It's called St. Peter's in Chains. Then we go to the Colosseum. We don't go into the Colosseum. If you decide you want to go inside, you can book a tour online in one of our free times. Just go to Expedia.com. I will tell you, what happens is these Italian local guides get so excited about telling you the whole story of the Colosseum, and we're like, by the end of it, you're like, this is a pile of rocks. And so So, but you also get to see the Roman Forum when you see the Colosseum. And so it's one of the most ancient exposed parts of Rome. So most of the group will go on. But for those who, since we've got 2 tours that day, we have a morning and an afternoon with a lunch in the middle, I'm going to take a shortcut with some people, either by taxi or by foot, over to John Lateran or to lunch and meet the group there. So, there may be 8 or 10 of us that don't join and go on to the Colosseum. And if you want that option, it'll be available. Other than that, typically on a day we have a half-a-day tour, so you can get in, you can endure the 3 hours that we're going to have with a local guide. And then if you have to go back and take a nap in the afternoon, you can go back to the hotel. So the tour is kind of designed that way, except for those 2 days. Wine tasting in Tuscany and the day at Pienza is a double tour day, but we're drinking wine in the evening after just a morning, so everybody's going to be taking a nap on the bus on the way home. Nobody has to feel bad. Technical things. So money, I use an ATM. Don't always, and then credit cards. Visa, I think everybody uses Visa. Some use MasterCard, widely accepted. American Express sometimes accepted. Pardon? I don't think so. Yeah, you'll probably need to get a Visa or a MasterCard. Just like with your debit cards, find out how to put a travel notice on your credit card. Phones are the next thing that you have to call. Call your carrier or find out online how your phone transfers over. Mine is right behind me. I use a very cheap plan from Verizon called Visible. It's like $20 a month. It will work over there, and as soon as I land, because I've turned on the international option online, it's going to flip me right over to my international plan and charge me $10 a day if I use it. So one text, $10 a day. 500 texts, $10 a day. That's how my plan works. You're going to want to investigate your own plans. But as soon as you hit one of the carriers over there, it's going to pick up your phone and transfer right on over. Very easy if you plan ahead and buy the international plan. The hotels will all have Wi-Fi that functions. So if you don't want to use it, you don't have to. Then a lot of people, and I use this when I'm traveling, there's an app that's called WhatsApp. Are most people familiar with WhatsApp? It's a great way to call back for international. They don't charge you anything for using it. I think under the $10 a day plan, you also don't get charged, but WhatsApp really works very slick. It's like just like you're calling or texting somebody from a cell phone. So I use it. But your phone line, yes.
We need a special adapter to charge our phone.
I was going to get right to that. Let me see if my 30 minutes of explanation are up yet, Jeff. Close. So yeah, your phone's only going to last you for about half a day over there if you don't have a charger or an adapter to plug everything in. So your phone will also drain while you're over there because it's not used to that network internationally. And so I always carry a backpack or a battery pack that I charge up before I go over for the long flight over, for the first long day, and then for day trips like Siena and Pienza. Those would be the most important times you might need this. Just throw it in a backpack. Everybody needs to bring a small backpack with them. So they have things like this, sunscreen, sunglasses, ball cap is fine, but especially in Rome, the streets are made out of black cobblestone. So imagine if you went sun tanning on Highway 400. And your face and arms will get exposed to all of that heat reflecting off of that. And then they compound that with white marble. So it really reflects. The black absorbs the heat, the white bounces off the sun rays. So make sure that you also bring something like lip balm, because it's not winter, but your lips could get burnt from chapp. And if you need something from a pharmacy, this is a funny little story. One time I had a really, really bad headache, and I was traveling with 2 priest friends to Loretto, and it was supposed to take us about an hour to get there. Kansas City is it 495, the ring road? 435 that goes all the way around Kansas City. We decided to take that road around Rome at least a time and a half before we took off on the right direction to go to Loretto. I think it took us 4 hours to get there. When I was trying to get ibuprofen so bad by the time I got to the pharmacy that I was trying my best to translate it. They couldn't look at me, and they were like, Momento. And I was like, oh my gosh. They called Advil Moment over there, and I was like, I'm really having a moment right now. You better give me that Advil. You can get most anything that you need over there, and we'll have a few, medical people that are on the trip that, like, if you're taking, like sometimes I take Mobic or Meloxicam, you'll go into the pharmacy and they'll have the translation in some German company that they'll dispense it to you. Most prescriptions that we take, as long as about the only ones that I know they won't dispense are narcotics. You can get Ambien off the shelf at the Vatican pharmacy and all of that kind of stuff over there. So don't think that, but also take what you need. Not just your regular daily meds, but take a little small pharmacy with you along the way. But there will be pharmacies along the way. It's just not the same stuff that we're used to. But they'll have it in one form or another. So take an extra battery pack, change your cell plan. Everybody needs to bring one, or maybe between like the 2 people in a room, get 3 or like 2 chargers. The reason is after certain periods of use, these things fry, because they're a little $15 piece of electronic equipment that's trying to half the size of the electric current, right? They are all on 220 over there. We're on 110. What you want, and I'll pass this one around, 2 prongs all the way around. It's a cylinder. So for people that haven't traveled before, and different countries in Europe have different adapters. And some adapters come as a kit where you'll get like 4 or 5. That one's like a $10 one from Amazon. I like the ones that have the USB ports. Over there, don't think that like some hotels, will have a lamp that have USB in it. Most of the charging stuff over there is it USB-C? It's the little bitty ones now. They don't use USBs anymore over there at all, even in rental cars. So take what you need for your stuff before you go over. So that's medical. What should we do with our passport? I'm pretty nonchalant, and I'll probably forget to take a photocopy of my passport before I go over there. I always take my driver's license and my passport. Do I always lock it in a safe? That's an Italian word for sometimes. You should probably be a little bit more vigilant, but I never take mine out in public. I always leave it in the hotel room, normally stuffed in my dirty clothes. Who's going to go through my dirty clothes to get my passport, right? No, so just kind of hide it away in the hotel. I've never been checked for my passport. It is good to take a photocopy and store it in another bag somewhere. The reason is one of our tour leaders, whose name is Giorgio, hit one of his part-time gigs as a tour leader in between tours is to help people recover their passports in Rome. So he does emergency work, and it's not common, but I'd say every 10th or 15th pilgrimage over there, probably every 10th or 15th trip, has somebody that something happens to their passport. Normally they lose it in a bag or something. You get a few extra days in Rome, and a couple trips to the American Embassy, and I've never had it happen, knock on wood, but take a photocopy. It'll make it easier at the American Embassy when you're sitting over there with Giorgio, and we're back in the States, back to work. But always keep it, I always keep it in the hotel room somewhere safe. Do what you're most comfortable with.
I make a copy when my brother and I went to Ireland. I just took a picture of it.
Oh yeah, you can put a picture on your phone too. Yeah.
My driver's license or something.
Yep, you can take a picture of it on your phone as well. Still won't get you back into our country, but it'll get you on your way back.
Yeah.
So, passports. A few things about, so does anybody have any technical question? Oh, there's one more thing. Don't get worked up about this a lot. And it'll probably have changed the whole culture since I've been there, except I was in Belgium in April and they were still doing it. You have to pay to go to the bathroom. The worst places over there, you have to pay to get toilet paper to go to the bathroom. There'll be a little lady out there and you're like giving her €1 and she'll give you like 3 pieces of toilet paper. So that's the worst case scenario. That rarely happens, but pack a little extra just in case. You'll be somebody's best friend. In a restaurant, that never happens, but they don't let you go into a restaurant without buying something to get toilet paper. You can't go into a coffee bar without buying a cup of coffee and then going to the bathroom. So if you've really got to go to the bathroom, make sure you've got some change in your pockets. Public restrooms, and sometimes the convenience store, what we would call a convenience store, like the interstate convenience stores that we have, most of them have charges. And now some of them even have gates. That you can't, there's no way around paying. So we're going to land in Rome, and everybody's going to be like, I don't have any cash. We're going to head out on the way to Assisi and stop at an auto grill. We may or may not have to pay going in, but what you typically do is you go over to a cash register, and you say, I want some change, and they'll look at you and go, boop, which means, yeah, right. You have to buy a cup of coffee or buy something. So then you buy something there and you get a ticket, like a receipt, and then you go over to the counter and then you get your cup of coffee, or if it's an emergency, you've at least got change at this point and you can go to the bathroom. So that's kind of how things work. So people are asking me, like, should I get euro before I go? There may be a place in the airport with an ATM. I don't know the best thing to tell you on that one. I don't get cash before I go, but I normally bring home €10 with me. So the next time I go, I've got some cash.
What are the denominations of euros? Is there 1, 5, 10?
The 1s and 2s are coins, and then everything below it is a coin. But I don't know, it's like 50, 20, 10, 5, 1, and you hardly see a 1. But then the denominations in euro are 5, 10, 20, 50, 100. And those 100s are hard to cash. But it can happen. So you have to pay to go to the bathroom sometimes. Public places, yes. Churches, sometimes you can find a bathroom. But normally, like in tourist places just like here, they're going to have a public toilet somewhere, and you'll have to pay to get in. So the trick is, if you need change, go to the cash register, get a cup of coffee, go to the bar with your receipt, down your cup of coffee, and then go to the bathroom, or you can do that in reverse order as well. That's the real emergency. When you're packing, for the trip. Bishop Jekyll's always said, they might not be able to see me. Oh, we can all do this in carry-on. I'm not going to restrict anybody to that. Take what you need for bags. Know that you're responsible for your own bags. So pack as light or heavy as you want to. I normally overpack, so I'll confess to that. But there's one very, very, very important thing. Whenever we get our travel packets, they said after Labor Day. We'll probably get them the 20th of September. There's going to come in it a pre-printed bag tag with your name on it. Just one. That's for your checked bag. And it will have Caravel's name on the back. It is 100% important that you tag that bag with that Caravel tag. Everybody needs to do it, because if you're the one person whose baggage is lost, Caravel has a way to find it with the local people. I lost a bag a couple of trips ago, and it took me 5 days because it was me, but I also had luckily stayed at an Airbnb with one of the managers at the Turin airport. So she was also on it, but it was lost in Spain. And so that bag tag is really like gold, because Paula and company will be working behind the scenes to get that bag as quickly as possible. The other thing, I've never done this, but a lot of people do, is throw an AirTag or something of its equivalent into the luggage that's checked, because it will ping off of different iPhone products or Apple products, and you can see the location of where it actually is on your phone. So you might not be able to see in a specific airport, but you can see what city and what location it's in. So if you want to do that, feel free to go ahead and do that. Pack light, pack comfortable, pack convenient, is all I can say. It's a pilgrimage, it's not a cruise. So oh, no. So we have paid for not only, so normally, maybe in Assisi this won't be the case, but normally they port your bag to your hotel room door.
Okay. We're not like hurried and off the train with having
Oh, no. We'll have at a certain point, I'm hopeful that we can come to 6:30 Mass here the first day that we leave on Monday, and then hop on a bus to Kansas City. And then we'll check our bags and then have whatever carry-on we have left over. And the one bag is paid for already. So I know these days you have to pay sometimes. That's already paid for. Then we'll probably land in Chicago. We'll just have our carry-on. We'll land in Rome. And then in Rome, we will retrieve, after we get our passport stamped and get into the country, we'll retrieve our bag, and then we'll drag it out to a bus. And then I think we're going to hopefully be in a more modern hotel in Assisi, although there are a couple old properties. I just ask that we didn't stay at one, because you have to take your bags up these little narrow spiral staircases made out of concrete and block, and the shower's really small. So hopefully we're in a more modern one where there's a better elevator and they port your bags for you. In Rome, definitely. So we'll be responsible. Typically you leave your bag outside of the door on the last day. They'll come and port it down to the bus, and then we'll bring it in. Actually, the porters in Rome, I think, typically bring in a lot of our stuff. We'll have to get our carry-on, but then they'll take the other stuff up to the room for us. And that's the other reason you want to have your Caravel bag tag, because then they'll know you're with our group and that the portage was already paid for at those two spots. I don't like to jump from place to place unless it's absolutely necessary. So we're traveling on a bus a little bit more to get to Siena and to get to Montepulciano. But it keeps us in the same location every night, and we don't have to pack and unpack our bags except for the one time.
They said the pack a lot, but it's there 10 days, whatever it is, they take 5 pairs of jeans and you wash them.
There are local laundromats where they'll service launder for you, or the hotels would, but typically no. The only time I've ever done that is I did 17 days. I did a pilgrimage with a group of people, and then my mom and dad and I added on 7 days. And so this travel agency helped me to get to a local laundromat, but yeah, typically.
Did you say that we needed to have another converter and we burn out real quick?
I'd say, like, if you're in a double room, just pack an extra one just in case. That way you both still have one, but if one, there's a buddy system, so. Pardon? I would say so, yeah. Yeah, and they're not bulky these days. I don't know who stole mine, but there's a confessional in the back. But they're very light these days. They're not like the old bulky ones. Yeah. Sure. So if it's United, you'll go to the United desk. You can ask them, if you get there really early, you can ask them if we've arrived. If we haven't arrived, you can wait downstairs, or you can go to the gate. And then it's whatever you prefer. I will have a list and know the count of the people that are traveling on the bus up. And then I'll do an additional count when we get to the gate. And then I know the people that have deviated and left on a different itinerary. So that's one of the responsibilities I have. So, but there's not many that I have. So once we get to Rome, I'm good. We'll see. Typically how it works best. So I don't know if the group leaders do or not. If I'd give out my cell phone. Let me think on that one. I've never done it before, but I've never been on a group this big. And normally, like, the bishop is leading, and so he wouldn't. Let me ask Mike Westcott what they do. If your best bet, honestly, is the tour leader. I'll be 100% honest with you, because my dad and my mom, when I lived over there, came over for 3 weeks around Christmas time one time, and it was the old cell phone day, not the bag phone, but like the flip phone and all that kind of stuff. My phone died, and we were going to go out and look at Christmas creche scenes in all these churches downtown. It's kind of a thing. So I went back and I took a nap, and then I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, my phone's dead. I plugged it in. I had like 10 calls from mom and dad because they were trying to figure out where I was. So I called dad. They were out in the city, just about where I told them to meet me. It was just about the right time. And I said, well, where are you? And he said, well, I'm at the lighted up church with the big circle in front of it. So I'm really of no help. That's kind of the point. I think the tour leaders will give everybody their cell phone or a way of contacting them when they go. We did, a priest friend wanted me to take his family into his parish, so I did that about 3 years ago. And we did lose a couple of ladies in Padua one night. I've never done that in all these years. The other thing they will tell you, so now I remember what they do. Thank you for asking the question. It's not my phone number you want, it's the hotel's phone number. So every place you go, you're going to get a hotel card, and then you can always get in a taxi and get back to the hotel, which is our point of reference. Most people speak English over there. In the tourist industry, they will fluently, and most local businesses, they will as well. 8 million tourists and 20 million tourists, they're used to English being spoken. So that won't be an issue. We've had some medical emergencies, but I've never had one like somebody was out on their own free time and something happened to them. So let's not be the first, because then I'll start giving my cell phone out to everybody. But yeah, it's the hotel card. That's how we get around. And in Rome, probably in Assisi as well, they can get you a taxi at both places from the concierge desk. So Assisi taxis are different than in Rome. Assisi, you pay by the location. So I'm in Santa Maria degli Angeli and I want to go up to Assisi. All the taxis charge the same rate. In Rome, it'll be by time and distance, just like we're used to here. Customs. So are there any technical questions other than the few that I've answered? Everybody's an expert and ready to go. You'll have to look on the airline website. You typically these days get one carry-on and one personal item. Yeah, that's the typical rule. But we do have one paid. And the travel brochure might have that, or your packet might have it as well. I think what they'll say in the travel brochure is that we've paid for one check-in. And then you'll have to go to the website to see the weight limit and the size limit for United. Local customs, yeah.
Did you say no shorts?
No shorts. Just like my Italian grandmother would say, John, offered up. Sorry, but they really do frown on it over there, especially at the Vatican. You can wear a dress as long as it goes, just so it covers your knees. Dresses are fine for your knees. Well, and the other thing, Kim, I'll get to you real quick. The other thing, realize, although we're at the end of the summer, if you're there like in June, it's unbearably hot. But all winter long, that marble in those churches has been absorbing the cold. So there's natural air conditioning in the church because it releases all of the cold. And all summer long, it soaks up all of the heat. So when you're there in the winter, the churches will be like 15 degrees warmer without a radiator than outside, because it's been absorbing all of that heat all summer long. So it's pretty interesting. Kim. Yeah, and I don't suggest this either, but like for the papal audience, and sometimes at St. Peter's, there'll be people out there selling $1 paper pants. So I don't know. During the time we're there, well, we'll be there until the 30th. We're going to be there. So if he's back on the 28th, we would not see him on the 27th, the Angelus, but we would see him for the audience on the 30th. So,
Well, just to clarify the luggage, we can check one bag, we can carry one along, we can have a backpack.
Well, you can have a personal item. I'm not going to say a backpack. You look on United's website. Sorry, I mean, they keep getting. Yeah, I would check on United to see what they say is a personal item. Okay, those are the technical things. Some of the more fun things. Yes?
I would watch their ETC or whatever, ETI is their entry.
Oh, yeah. They have these new kiosks.
Is there anything else you want to besides?
No, and I did that in April in Belgium, and they take your fingerprints, they take a face scan, and you move on. It's 30 seconds. Yeah, and then when you come out, of the country, they take your fingerprints again. And I think that everybody has to do it, even if you've done it one time. They did not give me a receipt or a card or anything to put in my passport. I think everybody has to do it. And they've got, it's kind of like checking into the airline now with the kiosks. Yeah, you just go through another line and it doesn't take that long. Although I was in an organized country, now we're going to Italy, so we'll see. Just some of the fun local customs that they do. I've already talked about paying first. So wherever we go, if you're at they we don't call them coffee bars, like coffee shops. That's a bar in Italy. And they'll also have like aperitifs, and you might even see like at noon, somebody getting an espresso and they'll pour a little bit of liquor in it. They call that a caffè corretto because they're correcting the caffeine so you can have a decent nap because you work from 9 to 1 and then 4 to 7. You go home for lunch. Modern Italian society isn't always like that. A lot of people just work straight through, but a lot of people, especially in the rural parts and some smaller cities, even the kids like come home for lunch. And like a rest, and then they'll go back to school, and then school goes a little bit later in the evening. But that's the first kind of coffee. So you go into a bar, you go up to the register, and then you pay them for what you want. You make an order, and you can order in like 6 or 8 different things. You have caffè corretto, which is with a little liquor. The bartender, not the lady at the cash register, will ask you what you want to put in it. And they'll have a lot of things that we're used to. Cappuccino. Italians only drink cappuccino in the morning. We're used to drinking it like all day long. They think the milk sours their stomach, I guess. I don't know. But that's kind of the breakfast coffee. After that, it's typically espresso. You can get, I don't know the real technical name, but this is very derogatory in what they say, but they call it a Jewish espresso because you get a little bit of milk, but you don't have to pay for it. And I don't know the technical name for it, but that's how I like to drink espresso, is just with a little shot of milk in it. So I have to ask Paolo every time I go over there. And then they'll have Caffè Americano, but that is not Folgers or whatever, or Dunkin' Donuts. It's watered down espresso. I think it's gross. But some people just have to have their coffee kind of watered down, so that's okay. At our hotel, at least in Rome, they'll have real coffee for breakfast in the morning. What we call real coffee, what I call real coffee, because it's tar. But they'll also have, you can order any type of drink that you want. A latte over there is just like a latte over here, except it's going to come out in a real glass, like a see-through glass. A lot of milk with a little bit of espresso. Lungo means an extra shot of espresso. The pastries and everything that they will have work the same way. First you go to the cash register and get a ticket, then you go and get your pastry. Gelato. The most famous, there's 2 or 3 really famous old gelaterias in Rome. They're all around the Pantheon. One of them is called Giolitti's, and then I can't remember what the other one was called, but they're on the side streets by the Pantheon. There is one homemade gelateria. When we go up to the Vatican Museum, we're going to actually get dropped off at the top, but from our hotel, if you were to walk on the Vatican wall, it's just on the opposite side of the street. It's called the Bridge, and they've got like only 6 flavors a day, but it's all homemade gelato. It's pretty good, but a lot of times the lines are long. Gelato comes by the scoop. Small is going to be 1 scoop, medium is going to be 2, and a large will be 3, and that's by flavor. So you can pick different flavors. One of my favorite things to do while I'm over there is, of an evening when we're all done, we're done with dinner, to go out on a stroll. And so I'll take off from the hotel And people can, normally I have a group join me, and we walk out into the city center to the Piazza Navona, which we'll see the first Sunday we're there. And on the Piazza Navona, there are 2 little bitty ice cream shops, and they sell what's called tartufo. Tartufo is the Italian word for truffle mushroom. And the reason they call it that is they take a big old wad of gelato, and one of them does it only in chocolate, I think. One of them does it in chocolate, vanilla, and my favorite, which is like cappuccino, like coffee flavored ice cream. And then they cover it with something, and then they put like a little prize on the inside. I know on the coffee one, or on the chocolate one, it comes with like a cherry at the very bottom. So the reason they call it truffle mushroom is because you're like a pig sticking your nose down to find the little candy at the bottom. So there's 2 little places on the Piazza Navona. If you're interested, we'll go one evening and walk that way. Then from there, I typically will go over to the Pantheon, and if we feel like it, end up again at the Trevi Fountain, which reminds me, especially when we get to Rome, that's where you'll see more pickpockets. But typically, like on our tour, where we will find them, so we'll find them, they're the people from Romania, the wandering people, gypsies, which there is a very derogatory term. But sometimes they'll surround you, and if anybody's doing that, just kind of like beat them away. They'll be begging on the streets. But where they really get you is the Trevi Fountain. So when we're there with our tour guide, the reason they get you there is because it's very crowded, and so it's easy to bump into people there, and that's where they'll go for your phone or your wallet. So like if you're taking a picture or something, just have one of your people somebody be on the lookout for people bumping into people. And if you feel that, don't hesitate to turn real quick, to throw literally, don't be afraid to throw an elbow, and I'll tell you when it's appropriate to do that to none in just a minute. But don't be afraid to do that. Trevi Fountain's the #1 spot that we'll be at. If you happen to take a subway, it's very common, or to hop on a bus, but we typically won't do that. We'll typically be on our own bus or walking, so we won't see a lot of them except at the Trevi Fountain, maybe the Pantheon. If we're in line for the papal audience and you see religious women trying to cut the line, it is not a custom. They are committing a mortal sin right in front of our very eyes. They are the absolute worst people in the world, and it's okay to throw elbows at that moment. I always told people trying to receive communion at a papal mass at St. Peter's is not a Christian experience, because like the nuns will almost like hop, they have these barricades, and they'll like almost hop the barricades, 10 people behind them, one experience of this in their lifetime, and don't get communion that day. But so one time I was there with Bishop Jacels, and we got there really early for the audience. We were going to get great seats, and these nuns kept maneuvering their way up, and his Italian was very, very good. And I'm listening to him, and I'm like, what? He looks at them and he says, "Oh, sister, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, Bishop, Your Holiness, how are you today?" She's like inching in front of him, and she's like, he was like, "I see something, sister." And she's like, "Well, what do you see?" And he says, "I see a wolf dressed as a nun standing right in front of me trying to eat my lambs." So just be aware that there are certain points over there that part of it's because it's a Latin culture, and so proximity in space it means a different thing, but it's also very rude. So we have to join them so we get good seats. Beyond the gelateria and the coffee shops and getting a receipt before you go somewhere, ATMs, make sure you use Euro. Anybody else that's been before have? Tama was first, Mike.
Get a receipt or
What?
when, at the hotel, to get this receipt, I guess.
Oh, you get a little business card.
No, I know that, but I'm gonna get a receipt.
Oh, no, if you're going into a coffee bar, make sure that you go and pay for your coffee first, get a receipt, you show your receipt to the bartender. Yep.
Is there a start and stop time, or is there a normally department?
It'll be different the itinerary changes every day, and every evening they will put a poster in the lobby with our tour group and our specific itinerary for the next day. They'll also announce that on the bus.
And we went one time, so whenever that was posted, we would just take a picture of it. So that we, the next day we had it.
You can take a picture of it, yeah. In every church that we go into, yes. And the breakdown will be as follows. So we'll have two buses that travel. We'll have I think they called it an A bus and a B bus. And I think it's now like blue and green. So your name badges will have like those colors on it. And when we get into Rome, we'll have to board our buses. We won't get the Whisper. I think they give them to us every day. I don't think they give them to us for the whole tour. And then within those buses, there will be two travel groups. So we'll have 4 local guides. And Paula wanted me to make sure to say it's very important. We can't really hop. We can't hop buses because the tour leader has to count the number of people every day. We can't hop groups because, especially at the Vatican, in the museum and in the Scavi, they've had to turn in the names by group. So we can't scramble. And in the Vatican, it gets pretty strict. You'll be wearing it, yeah. It'll be a heavier duty lanyard type of a thing that we get, and we'll need that.
What's the money range right now?
1.17 to 1, their favor.
For those that are out of town.
So if you are outside of the couple from Chanute, you'll even get your packet mailed to you. I'm sure I said that. Everybody else's packet, if you're not within a 30-mile radius, they're shipped to the parish office. But everybody else will be shipped directly to their home. So the Cardulos will be shipped to St. Louis and, yep. Well, I say that, and then there'll be a drug sniffing dog at the airport or something like that. I've never worried about it too much. So if you pack your pills, I think you'll be fine. Yeah.
Am I remembering right that at the restaurants you have to tell them you're ready for your check?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Or the lunch is there?
So tips, thank you. Tips and kind of travel tips for restaurants. So over there, waiters and waitresses actually make a living wage, not $3 an hour or whatever they're making now here. And they'll be there forever. There's a local restaurant right around the corner from where I lived that literally invented carbonara. And I have not been in that restaurant for like 3 or 4 years. And there will be a waiter or two that I walk through the back door and they'll be like, they'll kind of give me a look and they'll be like, Simone? And I'm like, and it's not because like, once you become like, they know you're in the neighborhood, you become like a family member to them. It's not because like I was a big spender or there all the time, but they really do know and care about you because it's their job for their whole life, because employment is much harder to come by in Europe. And so those waiters are there for their whole life. So they get a living wage. You don't have to tip as much. Tipping is nice, but not 20%. Like leaving a €5 or a €10 for a table is acceptable and appreciated over there. You'll see a charge at the top called the pane. That's also what they use as their tip money, from what I understand. They're also used to eating by courses. So whenever we get meals like we have pre-planned meals, we're going to eat like Italians eat. There's going to be 4 courses. And they're going to bring out a whole plate of pasta that we would eat for 2 nights. You don't have to eat it. Don't feel like you have to eat everything, and know that more is coming. And know that it's okay to ask the tour leader of your bus to announce the menu for that day, so you actually know. Well, I'm not going to like the meat today because it's kangaroo. No, but ask them what the menu is, because there might be something you really want to try that's 3rd or 4th on the menu for the planned dinner. But those meals will be big. When you sit down as an American at a restaurant, it's okay to order just 1 course. They're also used to that. So you can just order a pasta. But a typical Italian would order kind of like an antipasta, a pasta, a meat, and then a vegetable. Not if you're on your own for a meal. Yeah, so all of your tips for the amount, the $150 that I said, that's all covered. So what that covers that means we don't have to take up a collection every time we go to Mass. It means we don't have to take up a collection every time we're on a local guided tour. I'm taking care of all that behind the scenes. And then the big tip for our bus leader and our bus driver, that's all included in that $150.
Will the whole group be together for tours? Or will it be?
We'll have 4 small groups. And the first division is by the bus, and then within the bus they'll be divided as well. Mm-hmm.
For those who take medication, my husband used to put medication in his little brown foil envelopes and then write the day or date.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Amenities. So the other thing, when I would travel over there, when I lived there for a couple of years, I'd come home once or twice a year. And the one thing that I would stock up on while I was back was antiperspirant. They don't sell antiperspirant anywhere in Italy that I've ever found. They wear deodorant, but it just covers up the smell and stops a little bit of the sweat. And so be aware of that while you're over there. If there's something like, they might sell Listerine, but if you just have to have some type of a toiletry, make sure you bring it. They do not sell sunscreen. They all have bronze skin over there, except in the north. So make sure you bring stuff like that along with you. Oh, yeah. Thanks. Hopefully they could still hear me. I think this is about good enough. One more thing. So we do have some free time. The tour leader will suggest things that you can do on free time. Some of the things I might suggest is if you want to go up to the dome at St. Peter's, if you want to do shopping. And when we're over there, especially in Rome, there is a street near the Vatican, and there's at least 1 or 2 stores there. It's like the Walmart of religious goods stores. You can get rosaries for like $1, and they're better than $20 rosaries here. There's a store that sells like 18 karat gold and sterling, silver type rosaries and that kind of stuff near the Vatican. We can point all of those things out. They have medals. You can buy a 5,000 euro mosaic if you want to. while you're over there. Both ends of the spectrum are right around the Vatican. So if you want to spend some time shopping in one of those afternoons, go up to the top of the dome. If you're kind of beyond that, and there's a few extra things you want to do, besides just asking me if there's a certain saint somewhere, you can also email me for tips. If you want to get a good local vibe, what was Rome like 300 years ago, there's a neighborhood near the Vatican, which is the only true Roman neighborhood left. It's called Trastevere because it runs along the Tiber River. Trastevere. And the churches of Santa Maria in Trastevere and Saint Cecilia are both over there. To get in and out, you'll want to use GPS on your phone, like Google Maps, because it's a very cut-up neighborhood. But I was just talking to somebody today at lunch, and they actually booked a food tour over there, and I bet it was absolutely fantastic because that's where all the local restaurants really are. Some great food, but it's all chopped up. So the other way to get back, like if you're lost, always use Google Maps while you're over there. Just whip out your phone, use Google Maps. It will show you exactly where you want to go and take you right there. And one more thing, taxis. So I hear some people have told me that Uber's very expensive and hard to access over there. Taxis only line up at a taxi stand. So like you can't hail a cab, like if you're in New York City. They won't stop. Because there's a rule, they have to get in line at a taxi stand, and you've got to go find them. Before phones and Google Maps, you just had to know where they were. And so like in my mind, I don't whip out my phone and look for them because they haven't changed a whole lot. So I kind of know where some of them are, but I bet you can find them on your phone these days as well. I didn't say that. I said I hope that we can. I don't know the itinerary yet.
Well, my question is, we take the bus from here. How about our cars? Do we just drive down here or have someone drop us off?
I don't have any school admins here, but I have parents and former parents. How packed are our parking lots?
That's how I lived there. Last time I went was years
What?
ago. We just left our cars.
The field house is full. I would imagine it's preferable if you don't leave a car here, if possible.
Parked in the far corner, so I don't know.
How many people need to leave a car here? Let me ask that question. Because having 5 versus 70 is, so it looks like we're going to be okay. Don't leave anything out. We've already had one broken into. First day of school. So, yeah. So if we have 5 or 6 people that need to do it, it'll be fine. But if everybody needed to do it, it would be a little bit different. Very good. Let's close with a prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Father and Son, Holy Spirit. Who does have my converter? Anyone?